Lesotho is a nation encircled, not just by mountains, but by South Africa's colossal shadow and influence. Our currency, the Rand. Our trade, South African. Our politics, shaped in Pretoria. And our culture, an echo of Johannesburg. This isn't just dependency, it's a profound grip on Basotho lives. On the surface, good neighborliness is spoken. But beneath those smiles, explosive claims bubble up. Whispers, now loud shouts. South Africa's influence isn't just influence anymore. It's outright dominance. The burning question: is South Africa using the Russian playbook to silently take over Lesotho? I'm your host, Tladi P, Lebitsa, and welcome to In Perspective, where every issue deserves a closer look. Lesotho's economy is intricately woven with South Africa's, so much that it's hard to draw the precise boundaries between the two nations. This connection is, quite conveniently, the very foundation of Lesotho's vulnerability and South Africa's leverage. Over 85% of Lesotho imports, from basic food to manufactured goods, come from or through South Africa. Think about it for a minute. A significant portion of your daily necessities has a South African connection. This isn't just a number, it's a fundamental dependency shaping the very daily lives and national policy for Basotho. Lesotho is part of the Common Monetary Area, CMA. Its currency, the Loti, is pegged 1-to-1 to the South African Rand. This offers stability, or so we're told, but it only means Lesotho's monetary policy is basically decided by the South African Reserve Bank. Decisions about interest rates, inflation, and VAT, key economic tools for any independent economy, are made in Pretoria, not Maseru. A huge chunk of Lesotho's government revenue comes from the Southern African Customs Union, SACU. And in this union, South Africa is by far the dominant, most powerful player. The revenues are notoriously unpredictable, depending on how South Africa's economy is doing. This puts Lesotho in a shady financial spot, where a big part of its budget rides on its neighbors' choices. Simply put, when South Africa's economy catches a cold, Lesotho's economy is already in ICU. South African banks, insurance companies, supermarkets, retail chains, and telecom giants control Lesotho's economic arteries. While this brings investment, it often means profits, and major business decisions conveniently prioritize South African interests. Money sent home by Basotho working in South Africa has historically been a critical lifeline. For generations, Basotho men found work in South African mines and farms, sending earnings back home. These remittances are still a vital source of foreign cash and income. However, this migration, although helping families, further weaves Lesotho's economy into South Africa's tight embrace. The water Lesotho sells through the Lesotho Highlands Water Project has become a symbol of strategic dependence and leverage. This project, crucial to Lesotho's income, also intensifies South Africa's strategic interest in Lesotho's stability and resources, suggesting that Lesotho's water is the key reason for South Africa to maintain a strong influence over Lesotho. Lesotho's economic reality is not merely a consequence of geography. It is a deliberately constructed dependency, and every financial avenue reinforces South Africa's dominance. The entanglement doesn't stop at economics. It spills directly into politics. South Africa has long played a decisive role in almost every political crisis Lesotho has ever faced, positioning itself not just as a mediator, but also as an overseer. The most glaring example?
Around 600 South African troops rumbled in at dawn after predictions that a coup was about to happen here. They're briefed to quell the anarchy raging since May's elections, which many believe were rigged. Opposition party demonstrations had effectively paralysed the government. South Africa is determined not to allow an unelected opposition to seize power in Lesotho, but this was diplomacy in its most aggressive form. The soldiers got more than they bargained for. As they surrounded the King's Palace, where opposition supporters had been camped out, they came under fire. At least 5 South African soldiers were killed. Many Lesotho soldiers, the opposition's backbone, were rounded up. South Africa said it was acting under the Southern African Development Community.
South Africa was sending a very clear message. We decide when your chaos ends. The Binational Commission, BNC, further deepens this dynamic, turning Lesotho's administrative agenda into a near policy mirror of South Africa. With dozens of MOUs covering everything from defense to trade, the sheer volume of agreements casts doubt on the true balance of power in this partnership. Beneath the polished surface of diplomacy lies a well-known but rarely challenged truth. Many of Lesotho's political elites hold South African IDs and even dual citizenship. This means some elected officials may owe allegiance elsewhere, and parliamentary decisions and government policies are shaped by Pretoria's policies. And of course, Lesotho's sovereignty isn't just challenged externally, it is compromised from within. This is no different from Russia's near-abroad strategy, using dual citizenship, overwhelming economic dependence, and political co-option to exert control without direct occupation. In Lesotho, South African influence operates with frightening similarity. South Africa's involvement in Lesotho's security isn't just cooperation. It's a looming question of sovereignty. While stability matters, the power imbalance and history of interventions make any military collaboration with South Africa worrying. 1998 set a precedent. South African boots on Lesotho soil under the SADC mandate, but undeniably projecting Pretoria's power. At the April 2025 BNC summit, discussions surfaced about a military post at Katse Dam. The reaction? Public outroar. The government of Lesotho insisted no foreign power would control Lesotho's military bases. But the fact remains, these discussions are happening. South Africa's influence extends beyond economics and politics. It seeps into the very cultural fabric of Lesotho. This cultural reach is a softer kind of dominance, but its impact on national identity and social norms is notable. Lesotho is speaking, dressing, singing, and even dreaming in South African. Amapiano thunder through the airwaves, drowning our homegrown melodies. Soapies! They dictate our daily conversations, shaping perceptions of love, relationships, power, and even success. Slang from Johannesburg slips effortlessly into Maseru Street, and even our politics echo Pretoria's headlines. Cultural denomination does not require occupation. It requires bandwidth, and South African media takes it all. From the TV screens to radio frequencies and billboards, the news stands right down to social media. It is a relentless flood of South African narratives. This isn't cultural exchange, it's cultural absorption. When Basotho wear Joburg's fashion, speak in Mzansi's rhythms, and celebrate South African victories louder than their own, what remains of Lesotho's identity? When the aspirations of a nation are shaped by another country's dreams, where do we draw the line between influence and erasure? Lesotho is fading, not by force, but by saturation. Its cultural peaks are eroded, its heritage is softened by imported waves, and if this trend continues, what will be left of Lesotho? Lesotho's entanglement with South Africa is not just economical, political, cultural, or security-based. It's all of them at once, forming a pattern that raises a fundamental question. Is this a deliberate playbook for dominance? In Lesotho, the same mechanisms are at play. Much like Russia's grip over former Soviet states through energy dependence, South Africa controls Lesotho's financial fate. Trade, currency, SACU, and corporate influence leave little space for economic autonomy. Moscow has long installed and backed leaders in neighboring states, ensuring governments are aligned with Russian interests. South Africa? It has shaped Lesotho's leadership through repeated interventions, its mediators becoming architects of political outcomes. Russian state media floods post-Soviet nations, reinforcing influence beyond hard power. In Lesotho, South African content overshadows local culture, rewriting identity in its image. Russia justifies military presence near its borders under the guise of stability and protecting strategic assets. South Africa too has edged into Lesotho's defense affairs, proposing military posts in Lesotho, deepening security ties under the Binational Commission. While Pretoria doesn't openly declare a Lesotho strategy, the effect is undeniable. A slow absorption, not through force, but through influence in every critical domain. Even without a written plan, the pattern resembles Russia's approach. Entrench dependence, blur sovereignty, and shape outcomes. The question isn't whether South Africa can assimilate Lesotho, but whether Lesotho can untangle itself before the relationship transforms from influence to quiet submission, and how long before independence is reduced to formality. The Russian playbook idea, while attention-grabbing and deeply unsettling, undeniably offers a chilling framework. The conditions for such a playbook are present in Lesotho. Yet, to blame this complex, agonizing situation solely on a deliberate, sinister playbook might be too simplistic. Many of these dependencies are ancient, born from a shared, often painful history and the undeniable, suffocating facts of geography. And yes, cooperation in many areas is often presented by both governments as being genuinely good for everyone. But let's be brutally honest. Lesotho isn't being invaded. It is being absorbed. The tools? Not tanks, but trade. Not bombs, but culture. Not open war, but security agreements and the insidious grip of their language, law, and countless MOUs. This isn't a conspiracy theory plotted in the shadows. It is a chilling consequence of immense size, of colonial structures, and of a collective silence that allows it to persist. This isn't a conspiracy theory plotted in the shadows. It's a chilling consequence of immense size, of colonial structures, and of a collective silence that allows it to be present and to persist. But consequences can be just as devastating as deliberate intentions. The Mountain Kingdom now stands at a precipice, not of war, but of irrelevance, of becoming a mere political echo inside another country's powerful voice. The final question is not whether Lesotho is under threat. The danger is not a distant possibility. The real haunting question is, when sovereignty erodes silently, will anyone truly ever notice until it's gone? This is In Perspective. If you found this insightful, please give this video a like, subscribe, and share to keep the conversation going. Stay curious, stay engaged, and stay hopeful. See you in the next episode.